What's up, you guys? Matt Jablonski here with The Point of Change. I'm going to wait just a little bit for some people to get here to hang out with me live. If you're not watching this live, you can drop a hashtag replay in the comments. Speaking of which, get them pulled up over here. There we are. And if you are watching live, or if you are watching on the replay, give me some likes, give me some loves, give me a share out, give me a comment. Let me know where you're watching from, or a recovery date, or just a good morning. Facebook doesn't always tell me who's watching. So if you drop a comment in there, I'll be sure to give you a shout out. Michael Jones, good morning, man. Good to see you. Today we are going to be doing a little bit of it might be a review for some of you. It might be new information for some of you, but we're going to explore the idea of addiction a little bit. We're going to get back to the basics. We're going to look into what is addiction, why is addiction, where is addiction, when is addiction, but nobody ever asks how is addiction. You know, maybe that's the problem. Maybe that's the problem. Lori, good morning. Katie, good morning. Good to see you. Thanks for being here. Good morning, everybody. My easel is just a little bit wonky, so hopefully this all holds up and doesn't fall over on us. Pam Valesner's here. Good morning, Pam. How are you? How's everybody doing? Are you guys having a good week? I'm getting through it the best I can. As you guys, some of you know, I sent my denture in to have it relined, so I am pushing through without a top denture. I got plenty of snacks and stuff that I can eat without a top denture, but it's still a pain in the butt, and I miss having my denture, and I wish I could eat like solid foods. That'd be great. I can eat semi-solid foods, like pizza. Can't have pizza. Can't have most sandwiches. Like most things. Chicken nuggets. I want some chicken nuggets. That's a terrible thing. I have a craving for a chicken nugget when you can't put your denture in. That sucks. Paul Martinez, good morning. Michael McNeil, Mike Ward, and Michael Jones. Holy crap, 3 Michaels in this feed at the same time. One of you has to leave. No, I'm just kidding. Amber, good morning. I'm excited to learn. I found a new YouTube page that interviews people on Skid Row. It's pretty interesting / sad. Oh, that is totally sad, but very interesting. You are very correct. The idea of addiction is extremely interesting. So, first thing we're going to start with is, what is addiction? Addiction is classified as a chronic relapsing brain disease characterized by obsessive or compulsive engagement in a substance or activity despite negative consequences. Whew, I know that's a heck of a mouthful, but so pretty much what that means is there is a growth that takes place in the brain. We're going to get into that, but it causes a disorder of structure and a disorder of function within a human being, so therefore classifying it as a disease, a chronic relapsing disease, meaning it is continuous throughout the life, or cycles, as we see with relapse, and sometimes not with relapse necessarily, but with just urges and cravings and using dreams that come back years into recovery. We still have using dreams that come up. So addiction kind of goes through cycles, even when you're in recovery. Recovery is actually just another form of addiction. There's active addiction, and then there's recovering from addiction. It's just another form of addiction. They are both addiction. Crazy, right? Crazy to think of it like that. So the next question, why is addiction? Kind of weird, but why do people become addicted? What is happening there? Well, actually, addiction is kind of a part of not necessarily human evolution, but a part of human development, a part of the development of a child. So within the human brain, regard the human brain. Here it is. There we go. That's a pretty good brain, if I do say so myself. Within the human brain, there's a small area back here. This is the ventral tegmental area, or the VTA. Within the VTA is where all of your, what are they called? Neurotransmitters are created. Dopamine, serotonin, all these different molecules that are created in here, and endorphins, things like that are created and housed right in there. From the VTA, there are passageways that go down through your brain. These are called neural passageways. So those neurotransmitters are sent down these passageways. When you do something that guarantees your survival, and guarantees the continuation of the human species, the VTA releases chemicals that travel down these neural passageways down to what are called receptor beds. So those neurotransmitters come down these passageways, go to these receptor beds. This happens when you do something that guarantees your survival or guarantees the continuation of the human species. Therefore, eating food, basic human interaction causes this to happen. Sex is a big one. Sex causes this to happen. Accomplishing goals. When you accomplish goals, it causes this to happen in your brain. Those are the basic things that cause this. Okay, let's write some of them up here because we're going to need them. So food causes this to happen. Sex causes this to happen. Basic human interaction. So we're going to just write talk. All of these things, goals. We're going to write goals. All of these things cause this reaction to happen in your brain. Dopamine travels down these passageways, goes to the receptor beds, and then it gets gobbled up by the receptors. That's what usually happens in the buildup process. When you have a project that you're working on or a goal that you're working on to accomplish, you'll feel dopamine. A lot of people think dopamine how can I put this? People think dopamine is the chemical that's released when you accomplish a goal. That's not exactly true. Dopamine is the chemical that's released when you're looking forward to something, when you have a goal to accomplish. Dopamine is that charge up chemical. It's like a kid waiting on Christmas morning, that, ooh, I'm so excited for this thing. I can't wait for this thing. That's dopamine. Serotonin and endorphins are the other chemicals that are released when you actually accomplish the goal. When you get to the thing, then it's other chemicals that are released. But dopamine is the buildup chemical. So what's happening here in the brain? If we zoom in on one of these receptor beds, we're going to zoom in. We're going to give you a blown up view of it. There we go. So these receptor beds are kind of like a web, right? Like a web of receptors, really, along on these strands that are formed in your brain here. There are these tiny little mouths all along this. This is in everybody's brain. These are receptors. So when the neurotransmitters travel down these neural passageways and come down to the receptor beds, they come in here. And when they fly through here, a lot of them hit these webs and get eaten by these little mouths, right? These little mouths are called receptors. Now, what happens in a person who suffers with addiction in an addict's brain, an addict has more receptors on their receptor beds. We've grown more mouths on the receptor beds. So we have a bunch of extra mouths here. This happens through the course of an addiction. This is the actual growth that you have going on, that where if you're looking for an actual physical growth that you could say that is addiction right there, this is the growth that takes place in your brain. It's on a microscopic level. It is in the receptor beds of your limbic reward center where you grow more receptors in your receptor beds. So this is a growth that is taking place, and that's where we have the disorder of structure within that. For me, this was a huge reason why I started to believe that addiction is actually a disease and not just a choice or bad behavior or something like that. So this is the actual disease if you're looking for a place to fight it. Another reason why do we have addiction? Why does this take place? Well, like I said, this all happens to this reaction that we're talking about here, the release of dopamine, the release of serotonin. This is a response to things that guarantee your survival and guarantee the continuation of the human species. Well, drugs cause this same reaction, and they do it with little to no effort on your part. And the human brain is wired to look for the easiest course of action, to look for the path of least resistance. We are geared because of the fact that we were once hunters and gatherers. And in fact, not that long ago, humans were hunters and gatherers, right? So you need calories in order to perform work. In order to do things in this world, you need to have food, you need to have calories. days. Well, it wasn't that long ago that we didn't have a refrigerator. We had to hunt and gather our food. And getting food meant doing a lot of work. So our brain is kind of hardwired to be lazy. Hey man, preserve those calories, preserve those calories. Our brain still hasn't updated to the fact that we have storage containers now that we can keep food for an extended period of time. We don't have to go hunt and gather. So our brain still thinks, hey man, preserve that energy. Hey man, don't waste those calories. That's why we have such a problem with laziness, is because our brain is still operating on this old operating system. So anyway, so when you put drugs into this system and your brain gets this thing to happen, it gets this reward to happen without doing the work of accomplishing goals or talking to friends and family or sex or making food, going out and getting food and making food. You don't have to do any of those things, and you can get this same reward by just doing drugs. So, or by gambling, or by sex, or by work, whatever it is that's causing, whatever your addiction is, what's happening in your brain is reprioritizing your addiction at the top of this list. Instead of food, sex, talk, and goals to get this reaction to happen, drugs or your addiction suddenly shoot to the top of that list. It takes huge priority. All of a sudden, it's like, hey, I don't need to do all this stuff to get this reaction. I can do drugs and boom, I have that reaction right now. So that's why addiction is why drugs and alcohol anyways cause addiction so fast. You can still get addicted to having sex. You can still get addicted to food. You can still get addicted to accomplishing goals. You can get addicted to all these things, and you will still have this same growth take place in your brain. But drugs are just a super highway to addiction, if you ask me. Okay, so the next question, which we just already answered. I was going to say, where is addiction, was my next question. Already knocked that one out of the park. So I guess that saves us a lot of time. I was supposed to pause at some point in here and come back and let you guys know that we were on to the next question of where is addiction, but I kind of covered both in one. But the reason why addiction is actually related to a part of the human development is because this right here, the limbic reward center, what we just went over, is a huge part of a child's development. It teaches you what is good and what is bad. It teaches your brain is teaching itself. This is a built-in system to help you teach yourself to do things. It tells you, hey, that felt good, do that again. Hey, that felt even better, do that more often. Hey, that food tasted really good, make sure we find that food again. Hey, this thing was really good, so make sure we do that again. It's the brain's basic hardwired system to help human development and to teach you what is good and what is bad. But unfortunately, in addiction, it's just not working quite as properly as it should be. I don't know if it's necessarily that it's not working. It's almost working too much. It's found the easiest way to get you this reward, and it is just bypass the whole system. Drugs are almost like a code for like if we're talking about like a computer processor, like drugs are like the placeholder. It's like a code that you can punch into those slots, and you don't need the actual thing. You can just punch this code of drugs in there, and it takes the place of whatever you wanted to take it. Let's see. So when is addiction? Signs for addiction usually start to appear with it around puberty, is when you're going to see your first signs that somebody is, well, I mean, you can see signs pretty dang early, honestly. But puberty is when it generally starts to take hold or manifest itself into a physical form. That's when you start to see the isolation take place in a lot of people. Kids start to isolate, kids start to use drugs and things like that. We start to see the addiction manifesting itself around the age of puberty. And addiction tends to run around a decade. That's if you're out there and you have a loved one who's struggling with addiction, who's been in it for a while. I mean, I know we have exceptions to that rule where people have been in active addiction for 20, 30, 40 years. I understand that. But the majority of cases is around 10 years addiction. And then they either find recovery, end up in prison, or unfortunately end up in the ground. Good morning, everybody. I see all kinds of good mornings. I hope you guys are getting something good out of this. Hope you guys enjoyed the topic today here. Amber says, my 10-year-old is listening and learning too. Right on. Good. I'm glad this is something you can learn. You guys can learn together. Jim just wanted to stop in on my coffee break and say, what's up, addicts? I love and appreciate you all. Be real, be loved, and be blessed. Right on, Jim. Good to have you here. Lori, time change is killing me. Oh, I'm sorry, Lori. I know. Doesn't that suck? Let's see. Mike. Yo, whiteboard. Whiteboard's out. Yay, whiteboard's out. Peter, good morning over on YouTube. Brian O'Brien, good morning. Janet McClanahan, Deborah Ramirez, Pam Belesner, Jessica Chandler, Pam Yanish, good morning. Mona, good morning. Good to see you guys. Hopefully you guys got something good out of this video. I didn't really have any more, I should have wrote down more stuff, but whatever. I'm just going to beat myself up no matter what today, apparently. Yeah, I'm going to let you guys go early today. I just wanted to get this video out there. I thought maybe this would be some good information for some people who've never heard this. I know we talk about this stuff a lot on The Point of Change, so it's probably just a review for most of you, but I thought this would be some good information to share and get back to the basics a little bit today. So thank you guys for joining me this morning. I hope you guys have a beautiful rest of your day, and I will see you tomorrow. Until then. Oh, also, Krista Turner will be here Monday, or Krista Purdy. I apologize. Krista Purdy will be here on Monday to share with us, Monday night at 7 p.m. Central. And also, we have new merchandise available over at shop.spreadshirt.com/thepointofchange. So go up there and get yourself some new merchandise. All right, guys, thank you for hanging out with me this morning. I hope you guys have a beautiful day. I'll see you tomorrow. Until then, stay happy, stay healthy, and stay clean.